pictures. When honing our skills as photographers, we go through numerous developmental phases. They're important for the learning process and define who we are as artists. One of the most important phases happens right after mastering the basics and is due to over-evaluating of our material. Because we don't know much about what our audience expects from us as photographers and what the industry demands, we believe that what we are doing is comparable with what the experts do. The good thing about this period is that the exaggerated boost of confidence is a driving force when aiming to produce more material. The downside is that it keeps us from seeing our mistakes, which can spoil our development. The great majority of people that buy cameras and start taking pictures never leave that phase, and that's why they don't succeed as photographers. This happens because inexperienced photographers often rate their level of mastery much higher than what they should. They think that they don't need to learn anymore, which results in their inability to move past the rookie mistakes that are so common during this period. Psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger explain the sense of excessive confidence on what is called the Dunning-Kruger effect. They say that there is a cognitive bias in which people with low ability tend to assess themselves much higher than they should. The illusion of superiority comes from the unawareness that new photographers have their own unfamiliarity with the science behind the subject. So basically, the skills that we require to be good at something are the same ones that we need to recognize our own lack of skill. We're simply not equipped to identify our own mediocrity, which is okay when we're just starting out. However, in order to progress, we need to recognize our flaws and improve our strengths. So how do we learn to recognize our flaws when we think we don't have any? Well, there's different ways to break that cycle. The most effective is to have an expert photographer constructively criticize our work. This can be complicated for different reasons, the most obvious being how to find a good photographer that is generous enough to take the time to look at our portfolio. Another is to be humble enough to hear harsh criticism without taking offense. Another way to break the Dunning-Kruger effect is to study great photographers and compare their pictures to ours. To fix flaws, try to train the mind to recognize and be critical of them. Try to understand their mindsets, setups, and angles for each image. You will see that there's much more to learn. When we finally break out of that phase, we reach a much darker one. The second part of the Dunning-Kruger study says that as we build our skills for something, we tend to give ourselves less credit than we deserve. This graphic compares our perceived ability with our actual one, from having no skill at all to expertise. The curve goes straight up in the beginning. Then, as we become stronger photographers, our self-assessment tends to minimize our capabilities. At one point, it is common to think that our work is not as special or that everyone can do what we do. This phenomenon is none other than an imposter syndrome. The tip to break out of this is to keep producing and putting work out there. By doing so, we can measure and compare with experts in our area. And that's when the graphic curves start to go up again. Reaching true expertise is when our perceived ability balances with our actual one. It takes a long time and work to reach that level, and most photographers will never get there. This is why it's so important to keep producing, studying, learning, and receiving criticism. They're the only ways to improve. That's it for now. I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, share, tell your friends, and be part of the conversation. See you next time on 10,000 Pictures.